All right, everybody, what's going on? And welcome to another edition of SWACtalk, the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. I am your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells, and I'm coming at you. And we have another exciting week of SWAC football to talk about. A couple big games took place. A couple things happened that probably needed to happen, and we're gonna talk about it all. Before we get started, as usual, you can see the socials on the screen down below, scrolling below. Also, if you want to donate to the show, you can hit the Cash App or $ Swag Talk. Anything will be appreciated. And without further ado, as usual, like I said, Wednesday, week nine recap, week nine preview coming at you. Week nine recap coming on Sunday. Live Swag Smoke on Thursday. So another full week. I might do. I'm thinking about doing a little quick video sometime during the week of updating the swag races for each division, especially the West because that's still contested. The East division is pretty much in hand. Jackson State is pretty much controls their own destiny, so I don't really see anybody beating them right now. But strange things happen in the SWAC. But I'll probably drop a video maybe tomorrow or something just to kind of quickly go over that kind of stuff. Since we have had some teams eliminated pretty much from the race. Um, as you can see, we're gonna go ahead and get started. As you can see, I'm wearing black right now. Um, it was a homecoming at Southern, but it turned into a homegoing. And Prairie View really came in and probably I could say put the final shovels of dirt on Southern season. And this is the end of the Rollins era as far as I'm concerned. I don't see any way the Jags bounce back from this. Their season pretty much is over. Obviously, you still have 4 games to play, and you hope that the team can come out and play well and win a couple of those games. But as far as the West Division, is over. I'm one of those people who I hold out hope. I spent the whole game playing scenarios out of my head how this can work and how that can work and get back in the race. But Prairie View came in Baton Rouge, man, and they gave Southern all the work that they wanted. They brought Southern all the smoke that they wanted, and they took care of business, man. Prairie View played a hell of a game, -2 early interceptions, which probably gave Southern some false hope. But Prairie View defense was tremendous. The offense executed very few mistakes other than those 2 interceptions early, and they did what they had to do. I was that was probably to me the best team that Coach Dooley has had since he's been at Prairie View. None of those issues that I used to always complain about Prairie View years, the last couple of years with you know discipline penalties and things like that. None of that. No real acting a fool. Trying to intimidate you before the game. Just come in, take care of business, do your job, and get on up out. And those guys were really, really focused on winning. And after the game, I was able to pass by the team as they were leaving, and I congratulate them. And I think they got a good chance, man. This is probably of the most balanced team in the league. They run well, they pass well, they taken guys who didn't really perform well at other places and have them in good positions to do well. And they just played really solid football. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about that game a little bit. I'm not gonna really spend too much time fussing about Southern because I don't want to disrespect the effort that Prairie View put on, and they put on a great show with everybody in attendance at the stadium. Man, they got to witness a really good team. I think they came in and they silenced the crowd. They played very well. First half was a back and forth affair. Both teams kind of filling each other out. Uh, Prairie View, like I said, they had 2 turnovers. Southern really couldn't do anything with them. Prairie View finally got on the board first with 5 minutes and 43 seconds to go in the first quarter when Jaden Stewart ran a 3-yard touchdown run. Southern was able to answer that in the second quarter when Ladarius Skelton ran an 8-yard touchdown run. And then Prairie View got a score with 2:15 before the half when Donovan White caught a 27-yard pass from Jawan Pass to go up 14-7 at half. Southern came out with the ball, started the second half, threw an interception. Prairie View got a 13-yard run from then Damian Brooks to make the lead 21-7. Southern would answer that score with a 59-yard pass from McDaniel to McLean to make the score 21-14. And from then on, Prairie View just, they took advantage of every mistake Southern made, and uh, they ripped off 24 points to put the game basically out of reach. Southern got a late touchdown, and they did a couple things after the touchdown that I just thought was not Southern football. You're getting beat 48-21. You don't need to celebrate in the end zone. You don't need to flex on nobody because you're losing. You don't need to be in somebody's face trying to throw hands. That's loser football. That's football that I've seen other teams do against Southern in the last few years, not the other way around. That's the kind of thing that cannot happen. When you're a coach who is on shaky ground and an interim status, your team cannot play like that. You just need to score the touchdown, get a ball to referee like you do all the time, and run off the field because you can be happy you scored, but what are you celebrating? You're losing. So, I thought that was probably the thing that really just put the bow on this horrible effort by Southern. But again, a great effort by Prairie View, over 500 yards of offense, 504, I believe to be exact. 504, 7.9 yards per play for the Panthers. They fumbled once, but they didn't lose it. Passing, 280 yards, 19 to 27, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions early, didn't hurt them at all. Rushing, 224 on the ground, 6.1 yards per carry. They had 4 touchdowns. The defense for Prairie View doesn't get a lot of respect from a lot of people, and I've been saying, if you go back and watch any of my previous previews and recaps, I've said Prairie View is a top 3 defense in this league. They are probably the third between Jackson and FAMU. This defense is very good. They don't have a lot of superstar guys, and they don't put up flashy numbers, but they are good. They held Southern to 130 yards rushing, which is a tremendous effort for anybody. 3.2 yards per carry. Southern did have 2 short rushing touchdowns, but they did a really good job on the run game. Southern was 15 to 26, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions for 120 yards passing. So again, a great effort for Prairie View. 250 yards for Southern. Total offense, 3.7 yards per play. They fumbled once and lost it. Not a lot of penalties in this game. 5 penalties combined, 3 for Prairie View, 2 for Southern. So not a lot of penalties. Turnovers were pretty even. Southern had 1 more turnover, but turnovers were fairly even. Time of possession, Prairie View 31 minutes and 31 seconds. Southern 28 minutes, 29 seconds. The difference, obviously, one of the biggest differences, especially early, Prairie View was 8 of 13 on third down. Southern was 3 of 15. Southern had multiple chances early in this game to kind of take control of the game. I still don't know if they would have won it, but they had a chance to exert themselves early, and they didn't do it. 3 of 15 on third downs. They were 3 for 4 on fourth downs. Prairie View was 1 for 1. 2 sacks for Prairie View, none for Southern. Southern didn't hardly get any pressure on pass. They forced him to scramble out the pocket a couple times, and he still was able to look downfield and make the correct throw. He did not run the ball. He only had 1 credited carry on the night for 5 yards. So he either felt like he didn't have to run, or the coaches felt like they didn't need to run him. He was mainly a pocket quarterback in this game, and he executed the game plan to perfection. Like I said, he was 19 of 27, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. McDaniel, 14 of 22 for Southern, 144 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked twice. Skelton, 1 for 4 for 6 yards and an interception. Brooks, 13 carries, 108 yards for Prairie View, 2 touchdowns. Stewart, 12 carries, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns. Prairie View only lost 12. They only lost 12 yards on the night rushing. So Southern did not get any kind of pressure anywhere on defense. Southern was led by Kobe Dillon with 12 carries for 56 yards. Devon being 13 carries, 46 yards. Gerard Sims actually came back, got 3 carries for 10 yards. Brooks led Prairie View in receiving with 6 catches for 79 yards. Evan Ferris, 1 catch, 56 yards and a touchdown. Mullins and Howard, the 2 big-time receivers, they weren't a huge factor. Mullins, 6 catches for 50 yards. That's what he does. He's kind of a possession guy. Howard only had 1 catch for 16 yards, but they spread the ball around to so many guys. So they were able to get other people touches, even though their main guys did not really factor into the equation as much. McLean led Southern with 3 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown. Howard, 4 catches for 21 yards. Defensively, Trayshawn Smith, 13 tackles for Prairie View. Shaheed Reese, 7. Darius Campbell, 6. Travion Green, 5. J- Jamias Presley, 4. Tackles for loss, Reese, 3. Dumas, 2. Campbell and Shanko each had 1 apiece. And the 2 sacks were by Dumas. And I've always said that guy's a big-time guy in the middle of the defense, and he definitely proved that to be true on this night. Interceptions, Drake Cheatham had 2 interceptions on the night, was always around the ball, made plays when they had to. Brian Jordan led Southern with 10 tackles. Ray Anderson with 9. Chase Foster, 7. Glenn Brown, 6. Kenan Tate, 5. Interceptions for Southern were by Anderson and Jacoby Jones. So, again, like I said, I'm not going to dwell on this game, man. This was a thorough butt whipping. It was what it was supposed to be, a team who's trying to exert themselves and move up the ladder and prove that they're a top dog in the conference. They had to have this kind of W, and they came out and they took care of business, and they spanked the team who thought they were good, but they weren't. So Prairie View, you did a great job. This is the second time in 3 years, second time in 3 homecomings that Southern has had a horrendous effort on both sides of the ball, and were dominated by each team. So congratulations, Prairie View. I think you guys are moving in the right direction. Southern is back to the drawing board. We'll see what happens. We'll keep our ears to the street and see what happens. But we're going to move on to a game that I'm not even going to spend too much time on the box score, because it really was not any kind of a game. But Arkansas Pine Bluff dropped a 45-3 decision to the University of Arkansas. And this game, honestly, was not – this game could have been a lot worse than what it was. Arkansas basically controlled the game from the start, and they took a 45-0 lead into the half. And then in the second half, they did not score again. They basically, was nice, and they bled the clock. And Pine Bluff just, really didn't do a lot. But it was just, one of those kind of games. Arkansas could have named their score, and I guess 45 was satisfactory for them. But this, I like I said, I've been saying all week, I don't know. I know why this game was scheduled. I just don't know why it was scheduled at the time of the year it was. But that, that's neither here nor there. Pine Bluff got in, didn't take a huge beating, and got out. Just a quick couple numbers in this game. Not even gonna go too deep into it. 291 rushing for the Razorbacks, 213 through the air for them. They threw 4 touchdowns on the night. They ran for 1. Pine Bluff 111 yards rushing, 112 passing. 8 of 22 passing for Pine Bluff. Two interceptions on the night. 223 yards of total offense for the Golden Lions, 3.8 yards per play. 504 yards for the Razorbacks, 8 yards per play. Arkansas fumbled 4 times. They lost 2, so that kind of helped them keep the game close. Third down conversions, Pine Bluff 1 of 14. Arkansas was only 2 of 9 on third down, so they didn't play well on third downs. They had 3 sacks on the night. Pine Bluff was actually able to get 1 sack, but not, like I said, not a lot to really take from this game. I'm not gonna really. It's a money game, and it was what it was. But Pine Bluff was able to get in, get out, and not sustain any injuries as far as I know, and they can get back to SWAC play. The next game we're gonna talk about is Texas Southern and Alcorn. This was a game I really wanted to keep tabs of as it was going on, but the internet service at Southern was horrible yesterday, so I was unable to get any kind of coverage or scores during the game like I tend to do. But Alcorn defeated Texas Southern 44-21. This game was close before the fourth quarter, when Alcorn was able to score 17 points in the fourth quarter to put this game away. The score was 20-17 at halftime, 27-20 at the end of the third quarter, and then Alcorn was able to go ahead and take control of this game and pick up them a nice victory over a team who is gonna be a problem to anybody they face the rest of the way. I really like the way Texas Southern is playing this season. Defensively, they still are having some problems of stopping the run. Alcorn ran for 229 on the night, 4.7 yards per carry. But Texas Southern ran for 157 on the night, 5.6 yards per carry. Alcorn was able to throw for 211 on the night. Um, Texas Southern 308 through the air, so that's another good outing for them. Alcorn 23 of 31 passing. Texas Southern 17 of 28. Total offense, Alcorn 440 yards on 80 plays, 5.5 yards per play. Texas Southern 465 yards on 656 plays. They had 8.3 yards per play against Alcorn. So they were in this game. They competed very well. I don't think it's any really need to hold their heads down. They did not fumble on the night. Alcorn fumbled. Texas Southern fumbled 3 times and lost all 3. So Alcorn, that's what did them in. The turnovers are the fumbles. 8 penalties for Texas Southern, 9 for Alcorn. Alcorn 41 minutes of time of possession. Texas Southern 18. That's another big factor. Alcorn 8 of 17 on third down. Texas Southern 4 of 11. Alcorn 2 of 3 on fourth down. And Texas Southern did not attempt the fourth down. So, I mean, Alcorn, they were in control of this game the whole way. Texas Southern kept it close. I really don't feel like Alcorn was in any danger of losing this game. Now, I didn't watch this game, so anybody saw the game and you think it went otherwise, let me know, because I really am interested. I'll probably go back and watch this game this afternoon. But I really wanted to keep tabs of this game. I didn't even get to see the score really until after Southern's game was over and Alcorn was starting to pull away. But I still think Texas Southern is going to be a dangerous team in the upcoming season. They're still really young, and they're going through their growing pains. But I think they really are gonna really get better week in and week out. Alcorn was led in passing, obviously, by Felix Harper. He threw for 221 yards. Andrew Body, 308 yards. Another good night for him. C.J. Bowler led Alcorn with 7 catches for 98 yards. Warren Anthony, 5 catches, 63 yards. Keelan Davis led Texas Southern with 5 catches for 122 yards. Savion Sims, 3 catches for 80 yards. Jaron Johnson, 3 catches, 62 yards. Alcorn was led in rushing by Stafford Anderson. He had 90 yards on the ground. Felix Harper, 67. Nico Duffy, 48. Ladarius Owens led Texas Southern with 88 yards on the night rushing. So a good outing for him. And they also got 25 yards from Body, and Dominic Franklin, 25 yards. Also, Jawan Taylor led the Braves in tackles with 8. Cherilus also had 8. Kinsler with 6, and Wise with 5. Tariq Cooper, 12 tackles for Texas Southern. That's a good outing for him. DeMontario Anderson, Isaiah Hamilton, and Joshua Murray each had 6. Akeem McNair had a sack. If that is recorded right, there may be somebody else who wore the same number. But Frazier and Williams had a sack apiece for Texas Southern. So this was a competitive game. I mean, before the start of the season, I would have maybe figured the score might be similar, but it probably would have been one of those Alcorn race out to 30 points early and Texas Southern score late to make it look better. But this was a game that was at least close through the bulk of the game. And Texas Southern is coming to play week in and week out now. They are definitely going to be a tough out. I think their youth is gonna cause them the most problems throughout the rest of the season. But I feel like they are a team that's gonna be dangerous, especially as they develop. And next year, I think Coach McKinney is gonna have a team that's gonna be more solid in the middle of the pack, because I think they're gonna they're learning how to win now, and they've experienced some success, and they want more. And he is the guy that's building that program. He's doing it the hard way, and he's getting it done. So I like Texas Southern right now. I think they're gonna be a dangerous team. Alcorn, a big win to keep pace with Prairie View as they head into their matchup on November 13th. So that's a big matchup. If both teams can stay winning, this is going to be a huge matchup for the SWAC West. The next game we're going to talk about is Jackson State taking on Bethune-Cookman. Tigers won 42-12 in a game that Bethune-Cookman actually went up 9-0, and then Jackson State just steamrolled them in the second quarter. Texas Southern, Bethune-Cookman was able to get a 29-yard pass from Patrick to Lee to take a 6-0 lead in the first quarter. Then they got a field goal in the second quarter. And then Jackson State turned on the gas. Malachi Weidman, two second quarter touchdowns from Shedeur Sanders, one from 28 and one from 4. That's a connection that I think you're gonna hear from a lot in the next few years. Weidman, man, I think personally, Weidman is the best athlete on that team. And I'm a Florida State fan, and I was upset he left. He didn't commit. He committed from Florida State and went to Tennessee because I think this kid is a great football player. He's probably a better basketball player, but he's a tremendous athlete, and I think he's a good guy for Jackson State. He's gonna have a great career at Jackson State, and him and Shedeur are starting to find that chemistry, and they're connecting quite a bit. Shedeur got a 17-yard touchdown run in between those two passes to make the halftime score 21-9. Isaiah Bolden, 94-yard kickoff return. That's a former Seminole. He's doing well on kickoff returns, 94 yards for a touchdown to start the second half. Bethune-Cookman got a field goal, and then Weidman got his third touchdown from Shedeur for 39 yards out to make it 35-12. And then in the fourth quarter, he got his fourth touchdown from Shedeur to make the score 42-12. So this was the Malachi Weidman and Shedeur Sanders show. Them two guys connected all night and gave Bethune-Cookman fits. Jackson State defense, as per usual, 70 yards rushing for Bethune-Cookman, 2.2 yards per carry, 152 yards passing for the Wildcats, 9 of 27. One touchdown. Jackson State got their first interception on the season. They actually ended up with 3 on the night. So that was a very good outing by the defense. 222 yards for Bethune-Cookman on 59 plays, 3.8 yards per play. Jackson State, they only ran the ball for 23 yards on the night. Not a good rushing outing for them. This was probably the worst rushing game they had on the season, but they still scored 42 points because the pass game was just clicking. 0.6 yards per carry. They did get the touchdown run from Shedeur. They lost 80 yards on the night. That's mainly because they gave up 4 sacks, but they got 7 as a defense. So as usual, the defensive pressure was there. Passing 332 yards for the Tigers. Passing they were 309 yards passing, 18 of 25, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Total offense 332. 5.3 yards per play. They fumbled once and lost it, so they had 1 turnover on the night. Defense had 3, so they had +2 turnover ratio. Penalties, 9 penalties for 86 yards for Jackson State, 6 for 26 for Bethune-Cookman. Time of possession, 27 minutes and 42 seconds for the Wildcats, 32 minutes and 18 seconds for the Tigers. 3 of 13 for Bethune-Cookman on third down, and 7 of 16 for Jackson State on third down. 0 for 1 for Bethune-Cookman on fourth down, 1 for 2 for Jackson State on fourth down. Both teams were 2 for 2 in the red zone. As I said before, 7 sacks for Jackson State, 4 for Bethune-Cookman. Individually, Shannon Patrick, 7 of 20 for Bethune-Cookman, 119 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked once. I had those sack numbers reversed. Jackson State allowed 7 sacks on the night, but Bethune-Cookman had allowed 4 sacks on the night, so that's why Jackson State lost 80 yards. Shedeur was sacked 7 times, 18 of 25, 309, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. That offensive line is still allowing a lot of pressure, but Shedeur is able to make some plays and still capitalize, even though they're not protecting him the best and they're not providing a lot of running lanes. This game was more similar to the early games in the season where the run game just was not there. and the offensive line really had some problems. Bird led Bethune-Cookman with 39 yards rushing. Santee Marshall also 39 yards with Jackson State, 18 carries. Receiving, Darryl Powell, 2 catches for 36 yards for Bethune-Cookman. Cameron Overton, 2 catches, 36 yards. Kamari Averett, 2 catches for 29 yards. He did a good job on him. Weidman, 9 catches, 169 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That's a huge game. That's probably going to be newcomer of the week numbers. Keith Corbin, 7 catches, 124 yards. And other than that, they only had 2 other guys catch passes in the game. Sutherland led Bethune-Cookman with 10 tackles. Ontario Johnson, 9. McKenzie, 7. Bowman, 5. Tackles for loss. McKenzie, 3.5. Sutherland, 2.5. Bowman, 2.5. Reeves, 1.5. Knight, 1. And Bell, 1. Sacks, Bowman, 2. Knight, McKenzie, Sutherland, Reeves, and Bell each had a sack apiece. Jackson State was led by Keontae Hampton with 8 tackles. Huggins, 6. Houston, 5. Craig, 4. Miller, 3. And Owens, 3. Tackles for loss, Hampton with 2. Houston, 2. Craig, 1. Huggins, 1. Owens, 1. Sacks, Craig, Hampton, and Owens each had 1 apiece. Abdul McLean, a half a sack, and Devontae Davis, a half a sack. Interceptions were by Shiloh Sanders, one interception for him. Al Young, 1 interception, and Craig, 1 interception. And like I said, this just was, that typical Jackson State game that you get from them right now. Defensively, you just smother the other team. And offense, they do what they do. The running game, obviously, is still an issue, but until a team is able to really move the ball on Jackson State defense, any deficiencies that the offense has right now are not going to be magnified at all because nobody is able to take advantage of those situations. And if you're having a guy get loose for 4 catches for 169 yards and 4 touchdowns, then that's really going to cause you a lot of problems as a defense to try to control them because they are right now playing really well. Even when they struggle per se, they're still taking care of business because that defense cleans up so many mistakes that the offense makes. So they're gonna keep themselves in games and they're gonna be tough to beat in the future. So they're marching right along to the SWAC championship game, and I'm really liking the way that they're playing as a team, and they're looking really well. So we're gonna move on to our final game of the night. This is another game that I wish I could have saw. Probably should have stayed home and watched this. But Valley and FAMU played to a 31-28 game. FAMU had a 10-0 halftime lead, and Valley basically outscored FAMU in the second half, 28-21. FAMU got a field goal to start the game off with 11 minutes and 49 seconds to go, giving them a 3-0 lead. Then Sherrod caught a 25-yard pass from McKay to give FAMU a 10-0 lead to go into the half. Sherrod, 59-yard punt return, puts FAMU up 17-0. Caleb Johnson gets Valley on the board in the third quarter with 4 minutes and 36 seconds to go to make the score in the third quarter, make the score 17-7. Markel Gladney, a fumble recovery for a touchdown for Valley to make the score 17-14. Then Williams, a 6-yard run for then Sherrod, a 6-yard pass from McKay to put FAMU up 24-14. Then Williams gets Valley back on the board with 12 minutes and 43 seconds to go in the game with a 6-yard touchdown run. Valley is down 24-21. Valley takes the lead in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes and 25 seconds left when Malik Myers catches a 9-yard pass from Jelani Easton. Valley leads 28-24 at that point. And Sherrod, another touchdown for FAMU, this time from 19 yards out from McKay to give FAMU a 31-28 lead in the game. Want to just take a look at the drive chart late in the game to see what happened. Valley, they stayed in this game. I thought they handled themselves really well. Once FAMU scored, Valley got the ball at their 26. and they drove down to the FAMU 16 with a 2 minute and 45 second drive, 4th and 1. They went for it. They didn't get it. FAMU got the ball, and they drove down to their 39, and then they had to punt. Valley got the ball back with 35 seconds left at their 13, and then they weren't really able to do anything. So that basically sealed the game for them. And that just, Valley they had their opportunities, but they just couldn't really take advantage of it. And they just Valley's another team similar to Texas Southern right now. They're a team who's going to be dangerous in the future. They're winning well. Well, they're not winning, but they're playing very hard, especially at home. Valley is very tough at home, and they're gonna compete. Coach Dancy keeps those guys engaged all the time, and they never quit. And they fought FAMU tooth and nail in this game. FAMU 106 yards rushing on the night, 3.2 yards per carry. Valley 89 yards rushing, 2.5 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. 180 yards passing for FAMU, 19 of 34, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Valley 215 through the air, 15 of 21, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. FAMU 289 yards of offense. Not a good offensive outing against Valley at all. 4.2 yards per play, 3 fumbles. They lost 2, so they turned the ball over 4 times on the night. Valley 304 yards on 56 plays, 5.4 yards per play. They fumbled once and lost it. So Valley won the turnover battle. They won the total yardage battle. They just, came up short at the end. 6 penalties for 81 yards for FAMU, 6 penalties for 68 yards for Valley. Time of possession was even, 30 minutes and 41 seconds for FAMU, 29 minutes and 19 seconds for Valley. 7 of 15 on third down for FAMU, Valley 3 of 13. That's another number that did them in. Neither team converted a 4th down. Both teams had 2 sacks. And this was a Valley type of game, man. It was really ugly. Valley makes games ugly, and you have to fight and claw to win. McKay 19 of 34, 180 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks. Not a good night for him. He still hasn't had that big game that a lot of people are expecting. Jelani Easton 15 of 21, 215 on the night, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He was sacked twice. That's a pretty good game for him, especially coming off of that game he had against Alcorn. Bishop Barnett 19 carries, 140 yards. He continues to run the ball well for Florida A&M. Jennings 8 carries for 25 yards. Williams led Valley with 7 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. Johnson 18 carries, 19 yards and a touchdown. Sherrod 8 catches, 88 yards for FAMU, 3 touchdowns. Big game for him. Sanders 5 catches, 49 yards. Their big guys didn't really do much in this game. Hunter and Manigo each combined for 4 catches for 22 yards. Jacory Rankin 4 catches, 147 yards for Valley. Robertson 3 catches, 25 yards. Myers 4 catches, 23 yards and a touchdown. Savion Williams led FAMU with 7 tackles. Antoine Collier and Marquise Bell each had 6. Isaiah Land 6. Mayweather 6. Bowler 4 tackles for loss. Land 4.5. Williams 2.5. Bowler and Sherrod with 1 sacks. Land 1.5 and Mentor a half a sack. No interceptions. Valley was led by Keontae Daniels with 11 tackles. Bloodsaw 9 tackles. Andrew Bloodsaw, that's a name that I just love as a football name. Kenneth Martin 7 tackles. Gladney 6 tackles and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Kane 5 tackles. Tackles for loss. Daniels 4.5. He was a monster in this game. Swanier, Gladney, Howard, and Thomas each with 1 tackle for loss. Swanier and Thomas each had sacks. Interceptions were by Daniels and Bloodsaw. Again, I can't say this enough. Valley and Texas Southern are both not bottom feeders anymore. They may not finish anywhere above the bottom, but they are a team. There are teams that are going to be forces to be reckoned with in the future. Although the bottom is now occupied by 2 teams who were I thought would finish much better than they are, and that's Bethune-Cookman and Pine Bluff. Those two teams are your bottom dwellers right now. If it weren't for those two teams, then though a team like Southern would really look really really bad. But this was a entertaining week. Like a few questions were answered. A few questions still remain. Let's take a quick look at the Week 9 schedule. That's October 30th. Pine Bluff is at Texas Southern. That's a game that I thought at the beginning of the season that Pine Bluff would be favored. Now I think Texas Southern would be favored in this game. Um, that's like I said, that's just how fortunes change throughout the season. You really feel like one team is moving in one direction, and once the season starts, they start moving in another direction. Alabama State and Alabama A&M in the Magic City Classic. That's gonna be our game of the week. For this week's recap, Jackson State and Valley hook up in Itta Bena. That's a 3 o'clock kickoff. The Alabama State Alabama A&M game is a 2:30 kickoff. ESPN3 broadcast. That Texas Southern and Pine Bluff game is an ESPN Plus broadcast, 2 o'clock kickoff. Grambling and FAMU play in Tallahassee. That's FAMU's homecoming, 3 o'clock. ESPN Plus, and Alcorn is at Southern, 6 o'clock kickoff. ESPN Plus. So all games this week are televised. The Jackson State Valley game will be on the Valley YouTube channel, MVSU Athletic on YouTube. So you can watch every game on the schedule this week. That's definitely a plus. That's one thing that I'm really loving about the season this year is multiple games are televised or streamed some way, somehow throughout the course of the season. So you can go back and watch these games. You don't have to wait for somebody to find them and upload them after the fact. You can watch them as they happen. You can go back and watch them later, which I'm probably going to spend a portion of my day watching a couple of these games to get that sour taste out of my mouth. But again, nice week of football for the front runners in each division. The top two teams in each division won. They still, FAMU still trying to keep pace with JSU. Alcorn and Prairie are still neck and neck. So these next few weeks are gonna tell the tale, and we're gonna see who plays in the SWAC championship game in December. So ultimately who goes to the Celebration Bowl. So that's gonna do it for this week's show. I'd like to thank you all for watching and bearing with me as I'm going through this rough time. I had a rough game, but homecoming was still great. Before the game was really great. Was able to really enjoy the atmosphere and tailgate and have a good time. During the game, not so great, but I appreciate the fact that Southern sold alcohol at the game. That got me through the second half. So salute to Southern for that. Other than that, I'm out till Wednesday when we're gonna preview Week 9. Thursday, Wax Smoke live as usual, 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern, and then Sunday, Week 9 recap. So with all that being said, I'm your tour guide, Sewell, signing out. Y'all enjoy y'all Sunday, and we'll catch y'all on the rebound.